our favorite guest, Sheldan Nidle, who has dedicated his life to bringing about a new form of education and heightened awareness that we are indeed not alone in this universe. Even though Sheldon has had a lifelong connection with extraterrestrials, he chose to move in a more mainstream direction and so entered into the arena of political science, along with earning a master's degree in Southeast Asian government and international public administration, just to mention a few. But by the mid-1980s, his extraterrestrial contacts resumed, yet again changing his focus. And so it is today. Sheldon's newly forged mission is that of author, lecturer, motivational speaker, and representative for the Galactic Federation of Light. And he is also the founder of the Planetary Activation Organization. Welcome back, Sheldon.
Glad to have myself back here with you.
Sheldon, I told you off air, and I'm sure my guests are nodding their heads that the last time you were on back in April, I can't believe it was that long ago, I have been bombarded with requests to have you back on, so I'm so glad you're here with me tonight, especially on this night.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back any night with you.
Sheldon, as I mentioned in the opening of the show, as we mark yet another anniversary of the life-changing events of 9/11, what progress do you see happening regarding humanity's awareness about the existence of UFOs and off-planet beings? Where are we?
I would say we've moved forward quite a bit with the exponential increase every year of UFO sightings and of people having experiences, most of which have been on the positive side. The result is that there's a lot more people out there who have reinforced their belief in UFOs and also in the fact that we are very close to a contact. So I feel deeply that the procedures that are happening right now, which we were just briefly alluding to, are making it much more possible for people to understand that there's a contact underway and that it is on its own the right divine time, and that indeed the ships up there above their heads are real and are not something that they're imagining in their minds.
I know you mentioned, Sheldon, in our last interview in April that the Galactic Federation was standing poised and ready, as we say, to assist. Have their hands been tied until we ask for help, or can they just jump in and see that we're on the verge of some self-destruction here?
What they're doing is watching the planet. They also are under the divine supervision of heaven, so they basically have two positions to watch. One, what is going on down here, and two, what does the divine say is the process or operational procedures for them to follow. So they would love to come down like yesterday, but the process is that they have to do what the divine timeline says, how we are growing, and also to allow us to understand that there is indeed a heavenly intervention going on here, and therefore they are just part of it. They're not a unique singular part. They are part of this whole holistic heavenly whole. So they would love to do it, but they have to see what is part of the procedures that are allowed or the parameters that are allowed for them to follow.
So what do you think, or do you know, if we got into some real trouble here, and I know we've had some pretty close calls in our past, will they jump in and assist us, or are we pretty much on our own?
They're watching. If anything atomic happens or nuclear, they'll take care of it. The process is they basically have told every major government on this planet that either has nuclear weapons or is thinking about it that the first basic parameter they have to remember is that you may wonderfully want to have them in your military inventory, but using them in a aggressive way and like in a warlike condition is not permitted.
Let's talk about this event that just happened, I believe it was yesterday, out of Geneva, Switzerland. It's called the Large Hadron Collider. I understand that it's just one big, gigantic scientific instrument that's it's a particle accelerator. Is that what it is being?
Right. It's just a monster-sized cyclotron, basically, which were the first atom smashers. So, to me, the technology and the knowledge that physics has right now, especially subatomic physics has right now, it really doesn't need these wonderfully huge and monstrous devices. They have two major problems. One is they give off a lot of radiation, and two, they use a lot of electricity. So they cause us, especially those us's that are in Europe, a large amount of money because they have to use all this electricity to make the thing work, which is why they mostly can only do their major experiments at night. When most people are asleep and most of the electricity is turned off. As far as what it comes up with, it's minutia. It's stuff that some very, very well-placed atomic physicists who earn their living by getting grants utilize in order to improve on their very indirect theorems that lead to nowhere. Science has basically been going in a giant corkscrew to nowhere, as far as I'm concerned, from everything that I've read. They've found out very little to do with atomics. So what they have to really do is get out of this paradigm they're in and get into one that works. That's where I am. I'm very down on this whole stuff. I really don't believe in any of it. From my background in physics when I was a kid and then the beginning of college, I really do not believe very much in this stuff. I discovered other ways of understanding and a new paradigm for science, and that was really the paradigm of consciousness, and that's where all this should be going. Working on charms and quarks and other stuff and color and all that stuff does not really help anybody understand the universe. All it does is help a lot of people get a lot of grants and maintain their graduate students and a lot of other people in doing things that are nonsense. So just like they were trying to figure out how to do fusion, and they have failed utterly, and people have come up with cold fusion and other things with hardly any money. And so to me, it's just a waste of time and money, and allows a lot of people who are scientists to maintain their field and their knowledge and maintain their own living. That's where I see it.
What's the downside to it, Sheldon?
Well, these things are highly dangerous because of the amount of electricity that they use. I really think it's dangerous to take so much electricity out of a grid in any country or a series of countries. In the case of Europe, or here in the United States, there's a whole bunch of them, like there's the monster Fermi one up in Illinois, northern Illinois. We really don't need any of this stuff. We could find out a lot more about the universe if we would just take all the stuff that we've discovered and utilize it, and a lot of it is secret information that they just don't publish anyways. So to me, it's just like a bunch of Brahmins reading their sacred text and coming up with ways to prove their sacred texts or not prove them, and coming up with more inane experiments to continue what they just did above. To me, it's mindless. It's mindless science. That's where I see it.
Now, Sheldon, the other thing is, too, and here again, this is one of the fear factors that were put into this for the people that didn't want to have it done, about the possibility of creating smaller black holes, which they really don't know all that much about. Do you see that as a possibility, or is it just a little bit of hype on the other side? It's a little bit of play. If anything dangerous was to happen like that, they would take care of it, would being, of course, the Federation. The physics, the spiritual physics, the physics of consciousness that the Galactic Federation uses to create all its technology goes all beyond this stuff. Our science should already be beyond all this stuff. We are just creating massive hypotheses that don't really work and calling it science. And there is a science of consciousness that's been rolling around this planet for decades, and people should really get on the ball with it, and that's what they should be concentrating on. I'm kind of prejudiced about that, but as you can probably see from the way I'm talking, but I really feel that modern physics has reached a point where the amount of knowledge has just become blibber blabber, and it's not really been put together in any way that allows people to understand it. For instance, 95 to 98% of the universe is quote-unquote dark matter. So this great science of atomic energy doesn't know what 95 to 98% of the universe is made of and how it works. Now, Sheldon, we talk a lot about the Galactic Federation and that you work with the Galactic Federation of Light. Let's talk a little bit about, and recap your early beginnings. You were a young child and you were interacting with beings right from the beginning. Isn't that true? When I was a young kid, I spent most of my time on the ships. And what they were telling me was the basic reason for that was, one, they wanted me to know as much as they could get in my brain about different things such as history and science and all the things related to that. And they secondly wanted me to know that I was going to be doing this mission of talking to people, which back then when I was a kid, because of everything that happened to me in school, I turned out to be a stutterer. I would stutter in school and talk